Yes, good morning, London town. Thank you very much for everyone who's listening at the present moment. You're locked into the sounds of Step Up with Simply Greg. For those who don't know, now you can actually find out. Step Up with Simply Greg is a personal development talk show. It's all about elevating the mind and empowering you to make a change one step at a time. So what that basically means, every week we have an amazing guest who's a specialist at what they do, giving you information for you to challenge your better self. And if not you, then who? If not now, then when? Today we've got an amazing guest. Her name is Veritas, the inspirational guru. So you can obviously tell what she's going to do for us today. So we're talking about the topic of the discussion of transforming your greatest upset into your greatest success. And she definitely has a story to tell. Veritas, how you doing?
Hi, I'm very fine, thank you. I'm excited. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you don't look excited. I'm excited.
I'm smiling, so yeah. I'm very excited. I
know. No, that's good. Veritas, look, it's a pleasure obviously meeting you as well in person, which is funny because I told her the other day, for me, I go and scour the earth, in London town, doing what I do. I'm all about, not just elevating the mind and inspiring the community, but spotlighting the hidden gems in our community. And she's someone that I came across and I was like, okay, great. She's someone I see myself also interviewing. And funny, we actually got connected through
my friend Richie, my business partner. Shout out to Richie.
Exactly. And Richie connected us and then we went from there. And it was like when Richie told me about you and I was like, whoa, it makes perfect sense. And that's when you know you're in alignment with what's exactly. But Veritas, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey that has led you to you being here with us today.
Sure. So my name is Veritas and the Inspirational Guru. I'm a recently called to the bar barrister. So I was called to the bar as a barrister last July.
Okay.
So it's been like 6 months now, still embracing that new journey of my life.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes. And grew up in London all my life, but at the same time, I'm also an entrepreneur. So as well as being a barrister, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an inspirational speaker. I'm a coach. Wow. I'm a network marketer. And I'm also like the UK leader ambassador of a big international movement called Powerful Women in Business.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's me. In a nutshell.
I think it's a lot easier for you to tell us what you're not rather than what you are, because you're like, I'm this, I'm that. But it's amazing that you're doing so many stuff and it's keeping you busy and keeping you active and also making a difference, which is all about as well. But how did you even get into that in the first place? Or did you always know that you wanted to get there and achieve that and be a barrister and all of these stuff? Or
well, my journey as a lawyer wasn't a straight line.
Yeah.
So from when I was 14, I knew I did want to be a lawyer.
Okay.
I'd watched things like CSI and I watched things like Law and Order, and the idea of helping someone vulnerable in court did stand out to me. And I like to argue. I like to just speak my mind. So it matched my personality.
That's a good one, for those argumentative girls out there. Look, just find a vocation that works for you. Don't argue with your man.
Well, if the men don't start the argument, then they're safe.
I'm not going to start nothing.
Well,
you see?
Having said that, I do like to argue my case. I've noticed when I have a point, I'm very brave. I'll just put my point out there.
Yeah.
So I realized, okay, I'm meant to be a lawyer. But, before becoming a lawyer, I went through a season of failure. I went through a season of losing my identity. I went through a season of dropping out of university twice. Failing my first year on my law degree at my first university 3 times.
Wow.
So going through that embarrassing season, shameful season as one will call it, dropped out twice. But in the midst of all of that, I'd gone back to university and I thought, okay, let me get my degree, at least to say I got my law degree.
Yeah.
And, but by the time I'd gone to university and graduated after a season of absolute failure.
Wow.
I'd been in a prison cell twice.
Yeah.
I'd been in court pleading not guilty.
Wow.
Yes, I'd been in a magistrate's court pleading not guilty. Having a barrister, a solicitor advise me on my case to, all glory to God, that being transformed in 2013, I was given a chance to start again. So I had 3 pending convictions against me. Yeah. That all got dropped.
Yeah, wow.
And that was God's sign to me saying, I'm giving you a chance to fix up. And I ran to that. And in my heart, I was still afraid. I was saying to him, when my father came and spoke to me and was like, okay, so what's going on with you? Let's have a conversation. What happened? And I told him everything I'd been going through, wanting to fit in.
That's it.
Because of things that happened in my childhood.
That's it.
and it started to have its compound effect.
That's it.
As I got older. From school days, I'd always known I was different. My parents had shown me you're meant to stand out, but I saw me standing out as me being an outcast.
That's it.
Because I wasn't accepted by people around me. And I just kept trying to fit in. So I'd gotten into girl gangs just to say, yeah, I'm part of a crew. I'm part of something. I'd been through that season of hanging with the wrong people, knowing it wasn't good for me. But because I just wanted acceptance, I'd settled for bad abuse relationships with narcissists just to be accepted by a guy, just for a guy to say she's my girlfriend. You know, I went through all of that during my 7 years of failure, but then I eventually woke up to knowing you're meant for more. It took me to be in a cell, actually.
Isolation.
Yeah. So I remember the date, Good Friday, Crucifixion Friday. So I'm a believer. I'm a believer in Christ. So Good Friday 2012, I was in a cell.
Wow.
At 3 a.m, I was taken into the police station, and I was in a cell on a blue, nasty mat, blanket. God knows how many people use that blanket. It felt like being in solitary confinement, seeing a silver toilet. And that's when I heard a voice say to me, how did you get here from applying for a law degree to being in a cell? And
it's on the other side.
Yeah. I had to, that moment, I'll never forget it, because that's when I felt like I was having a God moment. And I realized I'm more for this. But even after that, I didn't learn my lesson. I ended up in a cell again.
Hard head. Yes. But then there came a transformation for you as well. So when you decided, you know what, because it is a process as well, you know, and a lot of people have to understand that, because sometimes we always want a quick fix to everything. And it's great that you was able to come to a point now and turn it around and take hold of your life to now be where you are. And that amazes me to know that you was on one side of the law, you know, and you didn't achieve obviously your degree or anything. No. And then to come back fighting on the other side and achieve that with honors and, you know, and then also get the bar and all of that. That's just amazing. And that for me is true fashion of how you can take your greatest upset, right? Because it wasn't a nice feeling at all. You feeling like, where did my life go wrong? Into now actually saying, wham, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. You know, and then actually slapping it right on there, the sticker that now you're a barrister. And if you can do it, everyone else can. And if you can turn that around, I'm a good, strong believer that no situation is ever too far to turn around.
It's not. I had to live through that, like around that season when, you know, I'd been in a cell twice and I had 3 pending convictions. Realistically, that year, I thought it was over for me. So 2012, I was really at the bottom of a rock. And I actually thought it was done. Like, okay, there's no chance of me doing law. Like, I'm done for. I might as well just go back into full-time work. That was my mindset. Go into full-time work my way up, and that's that. I was just ready to conform for anything. But there was still that fighting spirit within me that was like, pray about this. Wow. And, you know, I had people praying for me. My father was with me when I went to court. And he had a pastor on the phone praying for me. I was still praying.
You guys went for it, boy.
I was still praying during that season. God was still there. You know, I'm a strong believer is no matter how dark your season is, God is still there. It's even in the Bible, at the beginning of time, it was dark, but the Holy Spirit was still hovering over the waters.
Jeez, he's taking it to
so, you know, in the darkness. So that itself shows you that even when it's so dark and void and it looks like it's over, the Spirit of God is still there.
Wow.
The Spirit of God was still with me because I was praying, I was still fasting. Even though I was in a dark space. And even at the end of that year, I did a prayer when I was in Jamaica on holiday.
Wow.
And I was at my ex-best friend's house, and I was saying to God, you know what? Before the new year comes, 2013, I was in a bad relationship as well. Everything was just wrong. So I was just like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I know I'm meant for more. Please let me have a better 2013. May my life be transformed. I can't remember the whole prayer because I was really just talking. And I was like, because if I stay this way, it's either I die or I end up in prison. And at that time, I had these pending convictions. I knew I was going to go back to London and have to go back to the police station to a charge and go to court. So this is where I was really pleading for mercy. And funny enough, as I came back, everything started to seem what fall apart. But it was falling apart for things to come back together. So someone who I was best friends with and living with, we fell apart. I ended up back at my mother's house. And I said, you know, I'm not going to get mad. This is God. I'm just going to endure this process. It was still difficult with my family and everything, but they were behind me. And before you know it, the convictions got dropped that year.
Wow.
And I ended up in a full-time job.
Wow.
And that's when my father came back and was like, okay, let's talk. And he said, you know what, you need to go back. Like, focus on where the crooked path, God can make your crooked path straight.
Wow.
Which is scriptural.
Yeah.
So my father said, instead of you sweeping under the rug and saying, let me hide
that
it
was
and
a
just run
failure,
forward. No, you're going to go back.
Wow.
Straighten back that path, trust in God, and we're here to support you. So my parents, my brothers and my sisters, they had my back. It was a very hard transition though, because I was still feeling like getting back into old habits. There was still a lot of old habits hanging about. I had to separate myself from certain friendships. So I was still in those friendships, but when I went back to school, I was losing those friendships. And it was a bit difficult because I was feeling like, okay, I'm going to be a bit lonely, that this is really hard. So in my second year, I struggled immensely to still come out of that mindset of settling for less. And, you know, I was still in my own world. But when I got to my final year and I said, you know what? I want to get first class in my dissertation.
Wow.
I want to get first class in this module. I know I'm capable of getting a first class in these. I just need to apply myself.
That's it.
That's when it transformed even more. So I started to attract first class students. I'm with them in the library. I'm starting to do things a first class student would do, you know, and the friends who I used to really love being with during the time of my rock bottom, I wasn't feeling.
Yeah, you just weren't connecting with them. Yeah.
No, I wasn't feeling it. Like even when we came to talking about relationships, and I'm like, I know God can give me a prayerful man, a man that would treat me like this and treat me like that. They're like, no, you're living in a funny world. There's no man like that. There's no man he may have a side chick. And when I was hearing those conversations back in the day, I used to be like, oh yeah, you're right. But now I'm just like,
I'm not even going to entertain
I can't hang
that.
out with you because you're ready to settle for less.
Yes.
But I'm done settling for less. So me and you can't, you know. So I had to go through that season of just letting go of friends I really loved so much in order for me to get to where I wanted to get to.
Wow, that is amazing. Already from that, you can see why she's the inspirational guru herself. Just by talking about her life in itself, it's very inspiring. And I'm glad that you was able to go back into that point of failure and rewrite that, because that is not the end of the story. Turn the page and see me win.
Yes.
That's exactly what you did. So what we're going to do after the ad break, we're going to speak to Veritas once again about some of the challenges along the way that other people may be facing, which is similar to herself, and how we can also address those challenges. Yes. So thank you very much, Veritas. For everyone else, please don't touch that dial. Catch you on the other side of the break.